Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. In this video today, we're going to be talking a little bit about G2. I don't think we're going to have any TSM videos coming out today. I still have some more TSM kind of drama and rumors that are coming out. I still have a lot of TSM stuff that I want to talk about, but we've made TSM videos like 2 or 3 days in a row now. I just want to take a little break. I want to watch TSM play Immortals today. I want to see what happens. If they beat Immortals, hey, maybe that'll change some stuff. If they lose to Immortals, maybe that'll change some stuff as well. But I expect we'll have more TSM videos coming out, tomorrow, rest of the week. But I do want to talk about some LEC stuff, and I do want to talk about G2. And I actually want to talk about caPs and the whole team specifically. Obviously, G2 had a crazy offseason. This season, it's still hard to find out just how good exactly G2 is. We've seen Broken Blade have some up and down moments. Targamas have some up and down moments. Flocket have some up and down moments. Some people think that caPs and Jankos are playing amazing. Some people think they're just playing pretty good. Some people think they're playing pretty disappointing. We'll be talking about a lot of G2 stuff. So definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy this video. I would appreciate that a ton. And subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. With that being said, let's get right into this. So right now, we are currently, I almost clicked stop recording, didn't mean to do that. Right now, we are currently, 12 games through the LEC season. Again, a lot of people were skeptical after the G2 offseason. Some people said, hey, G2 is the third best team in the LEC. Some people said G2's fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever. Some people were very, very happy that they're going young, they're rebuilding, they're looking forward towards the future. Some people thought, hey, they're still going to be really good right now. And some people thought, hey, G2 is finished. But they are tied for second right now in the LEC. Now, there's two ways you could look at this. Obviously, there's still one more game to be played this weekend. And depending on how these games go tomorrow, G2 could either be in second or they could very easily be in fourth and only a game up, on fifth place and sixth place. Also, they could be in fourth, which is outside of the top three for going to Worlds. And we know that G2, Carlos, caPs, Jankos, all these guys, the bare minimum for them is making it to Worlds. Like, obviously, they want to go to Worlds and do well and show people what they're made of and build up their brand and their legacies and all that. But you got to get to Worlds to be able to do that in the first place. And they're coming off a year where they didn't make Worlds. They know what that feels like now. It's not fun. It sucks. They don't want to do that again. But again, they could potentially, if they lose tomorrow, or today, I guess, when this video comes out, they could be in fourth place, and that's without even having Vitality or Mad Lions up there. And, a lot of people, I think, believe that G2 is probably a more talented team than Mad Lions and should be able to stay ahead of them, but I can't imagine G2 it would be too excited about seeing Vitality, like in the playoffs or in a best-of-5 setting or scenario or anything like that. So the LEC is a jumbled mess. G2 is for sure in the jumble, but are they for sure a top 3 team in the LEC? I don't know, and I know I made a video about them last week or whatever, and I was saying G2 is really, really weird because they pretty much beat everyone below them, but they don't have a ton of impressive wins. A lot of their losses are to the top teams. A lot of their wins are against the kind of lower tier teams. And obviously, once you get to the playoffs, you're only playing against those upper tier teams, and you're playing in best of 5s, where G2 is not going to have as much experience as, say a Fnatic or a Rogue or a Vitality or even a Mad Lions. In some cases, it depends what players you're talking about. Obviously, caPs and Jankos have as much experience as anybody in the world, but Flocket, Targamas, there's going to be a lot of pressure on these guys. So it is kind of interesting and weird. And then obviously, talking about how G2 doesn't usually lose to lower tier teams, G2's coming off a loss against SK Gaming. So that's not a great for my arguments of like G2 beats the teams below them and loses the teams above them. Now all of a sudden they just lost to a team below them. That's a little worrisome. That's a little troublesome, just how good is G2. But at the end of the day, one player that over the last 2 years has been getting a lot of flack for some of G2's struggles and some of G2's decline, and he has even admitted some of this himself, is caPs. He talked about how last year he changed some things. He was doing things different. Losing in World Finals back-to-back years was tough, and then getting knocked out in semis was tough. It felt like he was taking a step back. So he felt like the way he was doing things wasn't working, so he tried doing things other people's way last year, and a lot of people noticed the results. They said, hey, caPs wasn't that good a lot of 2021. What's going on with him? And now in 2022, it seems like people are really split and really divided on caPs. Some people are saying, hey, caPs is looking pretty good. Hey, old caPs might be back a little bit. Maybe not all the way, but he's ramping up. And some people are like, hey, caPs still kind of sucks. Like, not sucks, but he's not caPs. Like, if we want G2 to be one of the best teams in the world, caPs needs to be caps. And I know I had said this in a video previously, and people were like, I had a couple of G2 fans be like, what the heck are you talking about? You're wrong. Caps is looking really, really good. And it's like, I don't know about all that. And I mean, again, in this most recent game against SK, he went 0-4-3. And I know people are saying you can't compare caps to 2019 caps forever. It's a new meta. The game's changed. The world has changed, all that stuff. And yes, I do agree with that. I totally agree with that. 2019 meta, 2019, skill level of players, everything like that. Yeah, you cannot compare 2022 caps to 2019 caps in a lot of ways. But what you can compare is the fact that 2019 caps was the best mid laner in the LEC. He was probably the best player in the LEC. Obviously, there's an argument for a couple other people, but hey, let's assume he's a top 3 or 5 player, whatever, in the LEC. And he was one of the best mid laners and one of the best players in the world. So yes, the gameplay, the numbers, the stats, a lot of stuff might change, but just relative to everyone else, he was one of the best players in the world. And I think it is fair to compare 2022 caps to 2019 caps in that way. Is 2022 caps right now one of the best players in the world? No. Is he one of the best mid laners in the world? No. Is he for sure a top 3 or 5 player in the LEC? No, not for sure. Is he even the best mid laner in the LEC right now in spring 2022 regular season? I would say no. Video is playing like a monster. Humanoid has been he's had a couple rough games for Fnatic now, but last year he was very, very good, and this year he's had some good moments. I think you could make a case for like Perks as well. I know I haven't been the biggest fan of Perks' play recently, but you can make a case for him, and Larsen's been very, very good as well. Caps, it's probably somewhere between 2nd and 5th for mid laners in the LEC. So in that way, yes, Caps is not 2019 Caps, period. He's not. And you can say that's unfair, whatever. I think it's fair. Also, a very, very big thing. G2 has 8 wins on the season. They are 8-4. Caps has, this is the spring 2022 kind of results and stuff. If you look up Caps, he has 1 single player of the game. G2 has 8 wins. He has 1 match MVP. Now, is match MVP the end-all be-all of everything? No. It's like a voted on award. It's kind of made up or whatever, but generally, it shows you who's standing out in a lot of games. And if you look back, in 2020, I believe 2020 summer, Caps had like 9 MVPs. I think in 2019 spring, Caps had 6 MVPs. Now, he did have a couple splits. He had a split where he played AD carry. I think he only had like 1 MVP. He had some splits where he had like 3 MVPs or 4 MVPs. And hey, maybe maybe he'll heat up these last couple weeks, and maybe he'll end up with 3, 4, 5 MVPs still. But still, what we're going off so far is the fact that they've played 12 games and he has 1 single MVP. And if you think back to like 2019, 2020, he had all these amazing players on his team. Mickey was great. Perks AD carry was great. Yankos was great. Wonder was great. They had a lot of competition. There was a lot of times they were stomping people, and it was hard to decide who the MVP was because everybody played amazing. Now, he has Broken Blade top lane. I love Broken Blade, but, Broken Blade isn't Prime Wonder. He's got Flockhead and Targamas bot lane. That's not exactly Perks and Mickey. Maybe they'll get there, but they're not there. This should have been a time for Caps to be able to step up, get more MVPs, to be a bigger part of their wins. Now, Caps has had some good games this year, but Caps is mostly having good games when the whole team's playing well. When the whole team's playing well, Caps is doing well. When his whole team's playing poorly, Caps kind of does poorly. He's not having those like signature standout games of his team falling behind or his team struggling and he pops off. He carries a fight. He carries a game. Hasn't been a whole lot of that. And actually his 1 MVP, funnily enough, is a game against Astralis. The worst team in the league. That's the one game that Cap stood up and is the MVP. He went 4-1-7 on Victor. Now, hey, yes, absolutely. Could some of this be the meta? Could some of this be the champions? Could some of this be the playstyle right now? Yes. Totally. But again, when I look around the league, there is other mid laners that are still stepping up and popping off in this meta. Again, Video comes out as a big example for me. That dude's popping off. Humanoid, I still see have some good games. Larsen, still pretty good a lot of the times. Perks, he's had some terrible games. I think he's had some good games as well. But there are a lot of people, kind of being critical of Caps, and I think rightfully so in some ways. Again, not that Caps sucks, but because Caps is not meeting Caps standards. And I think he would even tell you that as well. I'm sure he wants to be a lot better, but I'm sure he's also very, very happy that G2's 8-4 right now. But again, spring regular season, doesn't matter that much. We'll see what happens in playoffs. But the interesting thing and kind of the point of making this video was Carlos tweeted out this, kind of defending him. Obviously, Carlos, loves his players. He's very loyal. He'll always stand up for his guys and stuff, unless, you're off the team and you're, Wonder or Mickey or whatever, and they're moving on from you, then maybe they don't do that. But while you're on the team, Carlos is a ride or die for his players, absolutely. And he tweeted out this, LEC week 1 through 5 mid bans received, tweeting out that caPs in the first 5 weeks of the season, I know you guys can't really see it, I move over real quick, caPs has received 22 mid-lane bans in the first 5 weeks. I believe that's 11 games. He's getting 2 bans per game thrown in the mid lane, more than any other mid laner in the LEC. Obviously, Carlos is trying to point out that, hey, other teams are still scared of caPs. Other teams recognize how good caPs is, and are these bans perhaps limiting caPs? Are these bans perhaps holding caPs back? Are these bans perhaps allowing guys like Broken Blade to step up, Targamas to step up, Jankos to step up, and get some of these player of the games and to pop off and still win games for G2? And again, is caPs at the end of the day, just kind of getting banned out, but it's for the betterment of his team, and that's why his team's 8-4, even though he doesn't look the best individually, stat-wise, or eye test-wise, or player of the game-wise, or whatever. His team's still winning, so he's getting the last laugh. That's what Carlos is making. I think it's an interesting point. I don't know if that's correct or not. Also, just judging off this graph, I see that the guy getting the second most bans and tied for second is Reeker and Nuke Duck at 20 bans. So I don't know how much this one statistic really matters. If you're using this to make the case that, hey, caPs is getting a lot of resources thrown at him, maybe he deserves more. Obviously, there's a ton of variables here because I don't think people are throwing a ton of bans at Reeker specifically either. And then it's funny at the top that Perks has the least mid bans received. Obviously, Vitality has a ton of players you got to be worried about, a ton of weird champions and stuff. And there's a ton of reasons why maybe G2 gets more mid bans other than just caPs is really, really good. But yeah, this was, kind of cool to see Carlos coming out and defending his guy and maybe giving us some new information that I hadn't really seen or thought of before. I thought it was a cool graph. The tweet, performed pretty well. And I just wanted to give you guys something extra to think about. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. If you drop a like if you did enjoy it, I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about G2 and caPs right now. Have you been impressed with them? Are you worried about them? Do you think they're going to make Worlds? I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.